Well, aloha, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to PWT Talks NXT. We are talking NXT for June the 18th, 2024. A battle royal that I had forgotten about because 7 days is a long time. I'm going to be honest. At this age, the show comes and I never remember anything that's going to be on it, no matter how excited I am for it. So we did a little wrap around the show with the battle royal at the beginning, and then at the end with Javon Evans versus Ethan Page. Javon Evans has lost 2 matches in a row where he was just facing one guy, but he has won 1 match in a row where he was facing 24. So I guess it evens out. We know now why he lost last week, to give him something to overcome here with Shawn Spears in that match. And now he's got something else to overcome. Ethan Page still staying close to that main event scene. I thought it was funny. You know, you bring him there, you put him into the main event, and now you've got Vic saying his first win in NXT. And I guess that is true. So there you go. Ethan Page now 1 ahead of Bobby Fish in singles wins of all time in NXT. I will never stop using that, by the way. I think it's hilarious that he's
it
number
is.
1.
I'm
Kelly Wells. You can find me on social media at Spooky Milk. Nate, who are you?
Last I checked, I'm Nate Lindberg. You can check the things I do out at natelindberg.com, and I'm here to talk with you about NXT.
I like it. Okay. My biggest takeaway, man, they show that stupid Fast and Furious movie a lot after this show. I have seen the first 3 minutes of that Fast and Furious movie. I'm saying that Fast and Furious movie because I don't know which one it is.
I didn't either. I hit pause on my DVR and I just came over here.
Zachary Ty Bryan is in it. So it's that one, folks. Okay, so can't talk main event without talking the opener as well. So let's review our cast in the 25-man battle royal in order of elimination. Joe Hendry, Idris Enofe, Eddie Thorpe, Malik Blade, Charlie Dempsey, Miles Bourne, Damon Kemp, Apollo Crews, and then, Nate, is it worse to go out first or worse to go out during commercial?
Ooh, I'm going to say during commercial because nobody's going to say
so too.
Yeah.
2 guys went out during the commercial, Joe Coffey and Luca Crucifino. Back to TV, Tavian Heights, Dante Chen, Umberto, Lexus King, Angel, hard for me not to call him Angel, Tank, Tony D, Nathan Fraser, Ridge Holland, Tyler Bate, Frankie Kazarian, Dragon Lee, Shawn Spears, and your winner, Javon Evans. I have seen it happen in so many damn battle royals where somebody was knocked out of the ring at the beginning and then came back and won, that I was just waiting for Ethan Page the whole time. I really thought that he was going to come back and win this thing, but because he had been knocked out of it by Oro Mensah, he then made this match with Javon Evans at the end. Now, this match was not officially for Page to get a championship match, but he could weasel his way in Heat Wave. We could have a triple threat from a brand that does a whole lot of triple threats. There you go. Sean from the comments section says Evans is really talented, has a bright future. Battle Royal was fun, but why was Dragon Lee in there? LOL. That's a good question, and I thought the same thing. I guess. I mean, Dragon Lee is still losing matches on the main roster. They gave him a reason to lose to Carlito, but he did lose to Carlito. I guess there's that. BJ says, why did Joe get such a great entrance only to be dumped out first? Will we see more from him? I have the same question about will we see more of him? So he and Frankie are in a budding feud in TNA. So I think this was kind of about that. I also thought it was really funny the way they used him, because honestly, I came out, even though he went out first, I came out of this remembering his performance more than 19 of the other 23 guys or so. So I think that's a good thing. I also came out of this thinking, man, WWE has to do something about their generic music, because I believe in Joe Hendry is fantastic. So yes, we opened with that battle royal, close with Evans versus Page, which Page wins. Nate, talk to me about all of that and about the match that Javon Evans will get with Trick Williams, Trick on commentary in the main event, and I guess talk Battle Royal as well. And the possibility of Page being in there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably where they're headed, is putting Page in that match. At least my guess, considering the number one contender is Javon Evans. He was just beaten by Ethan Page. Ethan Page had that bit of a blow up backstage with Javon Evans and Ava, and basically just kind of like wanted well, he never really got eliminated from the battle royal, so he was like, the match is still going. And I think I mean, he has a bit of a claim to the um to the number one contendership. So I kind of see where he's coming from there. As Sean mentions in the comments, please no triple threat. I'm kind of we see a lot of triple threats in NXT. Thankfully they do them well enough. I didn't mean to click on that, but hey, that's okay. I clicked on BJ's comment that said Joe Hendry had an interaction with Sean and Joe, or Sean after, and Joe said it'd show up on any show. So there we go. Didn't mean to click on that, but that's fine. But yeah, we see a lot of triple threats in NXT. It's fine. They do a good enough job at it, but I want to see so much rather see singles matches. Um, I think the triple threat is probably where we're headed. But obviously, we'll see what happens as we kind of progress on the Heat Wave. Ethan Page, man, I'm growing more and more of a fan of him as time goes on here. Like his promo style isn't something that we see every day in NXT. He speaks with a lot of conviction. He's got a lot of energy with his promos and backstage segments. So he stands out to me. He's different. Obviously he should be, with the amount of tenure he has in the wrestling industry. So it makes sense. But I think it's worth capitalizing on that. So there's that. Um, the battle royal, I enjoyed the battle royal. It was really interesting to see Frankie Kazarian in there. Like I don't know, I wouldn't necessarily expect to see him in a WWE ring.
This is about the last place that I hadn't seen him, so that was very interesting for me.
Yeah, I mean, he's been in WWE before. I think we've seen him on like Velocity or whatever it was way back in the day. But yeah, NXT is certainly not a place I'd expect to see him either. So it's really kind of cool to see. Um, I not like I've seen a whole lot of his body of work, because like I'm not usually watching the promotions that he's in. But from what I have seen of him, like I've been a fan. So cool to see that. I agree with you on Joe Henry. Joe Hendry, not Henry. Joe Hendry. Um, really cool to see him show up. Really like, and for the fans to understand, to know who he was, sing along with his song. We believe in Joe Hendry and all of that. It was great. Um, I think they utilized him perfectly. He gets all that pomp and circumstance. He gets to cut a promo. He got mic time. Nobody else got mic time, but he got mic time. So that right there. So what? You get dumped out first, but like you said, I think what a lot of people are going to remember from this, like I can barely remember who won. I know it's Javon Evans, but still, the thing that I take away the most from this is Joe Hendry. Again, not a place we expected to see him show up. Haven't seen him show up in NXT before. Not expecting it. Well, we were. It was a lot of rumor and things, but like if you said this 3 weeks ago or something, I again probably would have been like, no. Now maybe a little longer than that. That was Jordan Grace, but you know what I mean. it's not something we expected. So, yeah, um, there we go. Um, uh, a thumbs up for me here. I do like the I don't know how that came up again. It's weird. Okay. Um, I do like how, or sorry, I'm not sure if I really like the final shot of the show with the belt kind of in the center, and then you had all four guys in this, in each corner. It was kind of a cool symbolism moment where it was like, okay, who's going to go for the title? You can make a case really for anybody, and then obviously you get Trick Williams as the champ. Um, so I thought that was it felt a little forced. Like it was a cool shot, but the more they stuck on it, the more I'm like, this feels like it was blatantly set up and forced. Like, I don't know. It kind of took me out of the moment, but I'm definitely on board to see where they go with this. And even if there's an inclusion of Sean Spears.
Yeah, this really could be a four-way because they all have their little arguments. Um, Page and Page and Spears both beat Evans, so we could be heading for a four-way. Another one that I'll have to cover, but oh well. I guess that's what we got. So I like this battle royal fine. So I like battle royals in general. I don't know why that is, but I genuinely
Because
generally like
because
them.
because you like the Royal Rumble and it's like a fast Royal Rumble.
True.
I'm just kind of spitballing. I'm trying to figure it out.
Yeah, the Royal Rumble is my favorite match of the year. Battle
Mine
Royals I
too.
don't like nearly as much, but I do love the Royal Rumble. Yeah, I thought they set up a lot of TV with this thing with everybody's new something. New Quarter Catch Club and their issues. They did some stuff with Chase U. Humberto and Angel have something going with Lexus King, apparently. I don't know. Lexus King is all over the card in terms of where they're slotting him. Interesting. So yeah, Javon Evans. I felt that the opening of this show kind of worked as a spoiler. They faded in on his
Yeah.
video screen, playing his music, nobody talking, like full on superstar treatment. So
Zooming in on the taped ribs and all of that.
yeah, if
Yeah.
you didn't know that he was going to win already, and he is who I would have said was probably going to win, you kind of knew. So
Yep.
there you go. Azan says, does Ethan win in his hometown? He wouldn't have under the old era, that's for sure. Under this era, maybe. So there you
Anything's
go.
possible.
Mm-hmm. Let's go to Kalani Jordan versus Michin. This for the North American Women's Championship. 9:59 is where I'm getting these times today from Bruce, who did not sleep well, so he's not hanging with us today. But a big mess on this one. The OC's out there. OTM shows up. Jada shows up, and the heel helps a babyface win. It's not perfect, but Michin has something going with Jada Parker. Kalani Jordan is your champion, but as noted by Bruce, still not huge reactions for her. And that's because although they gave her a big win, they really haven't done much to give us, like, we still really don't know who she is that much. Still an auspicious choice for the first winner of this championship, but I don't know, Nate. Can it be saved?
I mean, I think so. Like, yeah, no, like Kalani not really having a solid character is one of the reasons that I think you, Bruce, and I put her probably dead last to win the North American Championship. If not dead last, probably fourth or fifth. But certainly not to win it. That was, I know it was a bit of a surprise for all of us. Um, it didn't feel like she was progressed enough as a character. I don't want to say her in-ring work because I feel like her in-ring work is great. It's she's still young. The character hasn't really been developed. We don't, like I said, we don't really know what the character is. We go back to like who is Seth Rollins conversation. It's the exact same conversation here for Kalani Jordan. We don't know really much about her except, she's smiling and she's happy and she seems nice and happy to be there. And she's now the champion. But I think it can be saved. Like eh, you put a little bit more emphasis on her character. We start to develop her character a bit, hopefully over the next 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks. And I don't know what that looks like, but hopefully they try to do that. Um, and kind of give her some definitive wins like they did here tonight. Now, I say, well, not necessarily here tonight. She got a win here tonight. Um, yes, this was a little bit. This match itself was kind of a bit of a mess, as you said. Like a lot going on, but I think what it achieved was effective because Kalani gets her first win as the brand new North American champion. She's able to overcome somebody that's kind of a veteran, or is a veteran in Michin. So she can kind of put a little bit of a feather in her cap in that. At least kayfabe wise. I mean, we probably all knew that everybody knew that Kalani was going to go over, but I think at least kayfabe wise, you put a little bit of feather in a cap for that. Um, but then it also progressed the already going story between Jada and Michin, and kind of now also, well, we've seen OTM and the Good Brothers kind of on the periphery of this feud, but now they're kind of fully involved in this feud. I'm thinking we're going to be leading to an intergender 6-man or 6-person tag match between the two factions, OTM with Jada Parker, the Good Brothers, Michin, and Kalani Jordan. She just was involved here to get a win, get that W under her belt as her first defense of the title.
Brock Benningfield in the chat says maybe pair Jordan with someone with a big personality. Definitely.
That isn't Dana Brooke.
Yes. Oh, you took what I was gonna say. Dana Brooke isn't even Dana
Brooke.
It when though. She is Ash by Elegance.
Yes, she is.
She's Ash by Elegance, Vic. That's her name.
Dana Brash by Elegance.
Yeah. Ozon adds, it's weird to have OC as faces in NXT and heels on SmackDown. I think the weirder thing is even on NXT, Michin's a face and the OC is, and Anderson and Gallows are not. I think. I don't know. We're in weird heel face dynamic times, folks.
I almost look at them in NXT as tweeners because they're booked kind of in a face role, but they're still playing heels. Like they're not straying too far away from the characters that they always play on SmackDown, or really just always play. It's just kind of the story is a little bit different. So I'm kind of I'm looking at them as like a tweener faction or tweener group right now. Not Michin, but the Good Brothers specifically. They're in NXT anyway.
They're kind of doing on the main roster what they've done on NXT for a while. They'll have somebody lean slightly to face or heel sides for the sake of a short-term story or even just one match, which is asking a lot of some fans, I suppose. Us old folks, especially me, I mean, because I'm a lot older than you. It's different. It's different for me. Kalani also got a bit of a talk segment with Ava later on and Rob Stone hanging out. Ariana Grace shows up to try to accept a match that she was not offered. But Kalani met Sol Ruca, who is actually who I thought she meant based on the stuff she said. And a match was made between Sol Ruca and Ariana Grace for next week. They actually loaded up next week with a lot of different matches. So there you go. Ava was on a couple of times. I've been hard on her in the past, but I think she's kind of pretty okay-ish in this role. And I like the dynamic with Rob Stone. Anything on that segment, Nate, or shall I move forward?
Yeah. I think, yeah, not really much to say on the segment. Looking forward to the match, but it's about it.
Triple threat women's match: Jakara Jackson and Lash Legend versus JC Jane and Jasmine Nix versus Roxanne Perez and Lola Vice. Can Roxy and Lola coexist? That's the question, Nate. This one also went 9:59, and Perez and Vice win this one when Perez tags herself in to pin Jakara Jackson. Lola Vice has been playing tweenerish herself, as Azan points out. All heels tag match. Yes, very strange dynamic here.
Yeah.
But you've got Lola Vice, who I think is a budding badass babyface, I think. Or maybe they're at least trying that on and seeing how it feels. I don't know. At any point, at any rate, she and Roxy will be on opposite sides as Roxy tags herself in to pin Jakara, and Lola is none too pleased. They hold their arms up after the match, and of course, Roxy, I don't know, she kicked her or some such. There was something. No, it was a back fist, I think. At any rate,
Yeah,
she laid her out,
to the stomach.
and I really liked that Lola laid there and she smiled. And I don't know if she said you screwed up or you shouldn't have done that, but that's where it is. I feel for Bruce, he had to recap a 25-man battle royal and then immediately afterwards a triple threat tag, which is never easy, especially in NXT. So there you go. Roxy and Lola also had their scene earlier where Roxy said, "I'm not stupid. I know you were looking at my title last week." So this is probably a heat wave match. I don't think they're pushing this one further out than that. I think this is going to be the match in a 2.5, 3 weeks, whatever it is. Man, these things are too close together nowadays.
I know.
But at any rate, triple threat tag, Nate.
Time flies when you're getting old. Um, no, I thought the match itself was, I mean, it was pretty good. There's a lot usually going on when you have a 6-person tag match, especially when it's triple threat like this. So sometimes a little bit chaotic, tough to follow. Well, not tough to follow, but maybe a little more difficult to follow than normal. Um, but I think, I think this kind of works. Like it progresses the story between Lola Vice and Roxanne Perez. That's been going on for kind of a handful of weeks now. Um, you know, they kind of gave us some breadcrumbs last week when Lola was eyeballing the title. They brought it up again tonight. With in that backstage segment, as you said, with Roxy, and you can kind of tell, she's uh, she's got this like she is, and Roxy's got this like confident swagger about her that like I really dig. I really like it. She, as a baby face, on this show, I mean, all of us, we were rooting for her, but there was just something missing. Like there just, I don't know if it was actually, I do know what kind of was. It was like conviction in her promos. Like it just seemed like she was really kind of scripted, reading off of a teleprompter almost. Whereas now she is that character. Is she going to win like an Emmy or something? No, but for acting in the wrestling world, I think she's doing a damn good job. A damn good job of making us believe that she's a heel. Um, I think, like you said, build the match at Heatwave is going to be her and Lola for the title. Roxy probably, and this is kind of, I don't know. I hate to see Lola get a loss because I feel like she's taken quite a few. She just had a nice win against Shayna, but uh, I don't know. I feel like the way they're positioning her, it would be nice to see her get a few definitive wins, maybe before she lost for the title, because I can't see them taking the title off Roxy right now and putting it on Lola. Lola doesn't seem like she's nearly ready for the title. At least the character. I mean, ring work and everything. Sure, yeah, she's believable to win the title, but it just doesn't feel right. Um, so yeah, like I said, I think that building up to that, but yeah, the story of the match really helped to build that feud. There's also a couple other things going on in there, like with JC Jane and being a little bit, I don't know, too friendly with the mask she was given by I almost said Dusty Rhodes, by Cody Rhodes. Um, So, a couple other stories progressing in there too. So I think all in all, this was a pretty effective segment. I'm going to call it a segment because there's a lot of things, a lot of moving parts that kind of took place here within the match to progress those stories.
Tell you what, folks, the storm here is very, very significant. If I'm gone, that's the reason. This is the
Well,
worst weather I've ever seen without losing power.
yeah,
So,
you
whew,
he sent a little video clip of like what was going on outside his house, and it's like, whoa. So
yeah, it's
yeah,
like monsoon tornado season here. Apparently, didn't know that it was going to be that today, but there you go. So, I got to talk about the most interesting parts of the show right away, or I won't get them in. Nate, Izzy Dame plays volleyball.
whoa,
Isn't that great?
that's fantastic.
She here's how much time here's how much she's sunk in to me. She came up, she's talking about what she does. She played volleyball. Um and she talked for a while, and I'm sitting there thinking, "Oh, is it time for me to memorize yet another name?" And then I found out it was Izzy Dame, who I've seen many times.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess her face just doesn't stick with me. Just like the one guy in the Forgotten Sons, whose name I always forget and whose face I always forget, but he was champion in one of the indies recently. Hey, see, even now, like it's not even
It
shtick.
was
It literally just can't think of the guy,
in
his
WWE, it
name
was Brandon
ever.
Cutler.
Was that who it is? Steve
Yeah.
Cutler.
Or Steve Cutler. Steve Cutler, not Brandon Cutler. Steve Cutler.
See,
Or one of the
even
two.
you,
Shit, now I
Nate.
don't remember.
It's
Well,
it's
no, because there's
contagious.
now I used to know this off the top of my head. Oh well, that's fine. Which one you
All
couldn't?
right.
Yeah, Steve Cutler. Steve Cutler. I had to Google it.
But I do have to memorize another name because in the corner of Carly Bright, whose name I have not committed to memory yet, is Kendall Gray, whose name I have definitely, whose face I also don't have committed to memory. I just remember thinking, oh, she looks kind of like Carly Bright. So, Steve Macklin, thank you, Azan. Steve Macklin is his name now. I look forward to forgetting that 5 minutes from now. But thank you in the moment. Um, yeah, the women were all talking in the lockers. It is my favorite thing when all the women who have had no TV time are talking in the locker room because it is always the worst acting I've ever seen. And each time is worse than the last. It feels like my daughter was sitting in the room. She does not do the wrestling thing, but she was in the room the whole time today. And the only time she spoke up about the show was when she said, top tier acting, Dad. When these women were talking before Fallon Henley showed up. From this scene, we get Carly Bright against Fallon Henley. Kendall Gray is in the corner, and she gets attacked by Scary Wendy Chu. I really like Scary Wendy Chu. Last week, I couldn't do the show, but I had been so hard on the Wendy Chu character because I thought that the babyface version of it was dead on arrival. Um, I love evil Wendy Chu. I know that it's high concept and it's probably silly, and it's the kind of thing you don't want to show your non-wrestling fan friends because they're like, this is really stupid. And you're like, yeah, isn't it great? But at any rate, Henley defeats Carly Bright, who is distracted because she's trying to check on Kendall Gray. Not sure you really have to protect Carly Bright losing to Fallon Henley, but it was an
Yeah.
excuse to get Wendy Chu on the show. I get that. Because if you throw her out there in too many matches, it loses mystique a little too fast. Sean says Wendy Chu has something. I'm still worried about this character. Agreed on all counts, my friend. This is something that could run out of steam real quick. I hope they know how not to make it do so because Karen Q has had no shortage of failed gimmicks in this, or at least stopped gimmicks
Yeah.
in this company. So Henley over Carly Bright in 419. Any comment, Nate?
Yeah, we'll start with the segment backstage. What I what I really hate about these, and it seems to always happen with the women, like you said, you've got the bad acting, but then it devolves so often into a screaming match. Like, I, I don't know. I feel like sometimes with the guys you can get away with it because uh, it I don't know, it doesn't feel as catty, I guess. But to me, when there are all these women backstage and they start kind of, going at like just screaming at one another, it reminds me so much of like the Divas era. And I don't like that. I feel like it's a step backwards. Um, Especially with the acting and everything like that. So that's kind of just a big like thumbs down for me. I really don't like that. I really wish they would portray even the undercard women a little bit. I don't want to say with more dignity, but I guess kind of maybe with a little more dignity than that. Um, I do agree with what Sean just said in our chat here that Sol Ruka was great, just kind of a walking away because that's what she did. She's just like, yeah, I'm better than this. So maybe they booked it that way specifically to show off Sol Ruka in that particular light. And if that's the case, fine. I can understand that. Um, but I don't know. Still, I wasn't super high on the segment for those reasons. The match itself was fine. Again, Carly Bright. She's. I feel like it's a little bit of a ripoff, not a ripoff, but of what Thea Hale's doing. There's just so many similarities between the two in their, I mean, the way their look, their size, but then the gimmick itself. I don't know. I don't feel like it's doing Carly Bright any favors to try and stand out as a new superstar. You kind of want to have a bit more diversity and not that many similarities between the characters, unless they're going to be affiliated like Undertaker and Kane or something along those lines. Um but yeah, like I said, uh Fallon Henley, I'm absolutely loving what she's doing right now. She's uh, playing a heel role pretty well. In the ring, I mean, she's like on fire right now. She really seems like a bit of a ring general, even, this early into her career. I mean, she's wrestling a little while now, but, still she's pretty new to the business, I guess, all things considered. I'd have to actually look at how long she's been in the business now. But now that I'm saying that, like, might be wrong, but whatever, that's fine. It's not like I've ever been wrong before. Um, Wendy Chu, or sorry, as you said, I think this is probably a bit of a way to get Wendy Chu on the show. And I guess get Fallon a little bit of a win, less so of protecting Carly Bright. Um, I do like the Wendy Chu character, and I kind of had a feeling that they were going to go with I called her Nightmare Wendy Chu. That's how I've been referring to her because it just feels like she woke up from a nightmare. Um, I
I have
dig
been
it.
calling her that too. Yep.
All right, cool. Um, but I dig it. Like it's again, like you said, it's silly. Not the first thing that I would probably introduce to a non-wrestling fan for sure. Um, but I think it could work for her. It's definitely got a ceiling, as did the original Wendy Chu character. I don't know exactly how she gets past that ceiling with this character, but not everybody can be a top performer. Somebody's got to be on the mid card. Somebody's got to be staring at the lights every night. So, there's that. But but yeah, I think there we go with all that in a bag of chips.
Yeah, Fallon is really she was one of the ones I was worried about turning heel because it seemed like she had found her voice. But now I feel like we've actually found her voice.
Yeah.
I really dig what's going on. The look is very cool. It's still it's still got all the country going on that was always there, but it's like this glammed up country. She's a snotty girl. She's fun. So big fan. I've been a fan of Fallon for a long time, but I think she's close to that final form. I think she's the closest she's ever been to getting called up. So Obafemi, Nate, he's really cool. Do you agree?
I absolutely agree.
Cool. He was talking about you know why was he out there? He was out there saying that he was great, which yes,
Yeah,
but
basically.
they needed a reason for Wesley to show up. Um and he did. So if you think about it too much, it's like, why was Obafemi out there? Whatever. Um, Wesley goes out there and they have a little war of words. Wesley wants that one-on-one match, and Obafemi does. This is one of my favorite little stakes. You get one shot while I'm champion. That is it. So that's very cool. There was an issue in the stands here, and the guys in the audience, or the guys in the ring, got thrown, and everybody was clearly looking at something in the stands. Folks, listeners, if you did not look into this, or if you did not catch this on socials by now, this was storyline.
Rocks.
Brooks Jensen was trying to charge the ring and was stopped by security. So he's trying to insert himself in these bigger spots and not being able because not booked or whatever. So they're doing something with him, but that is something that'll probably be on a .com exclusive if it isn't yet. So there you go. That is what happened in the crowd, and now you know. The more you know. I wish we had that graphic, but we don't. Another good outing for Femi on the mic, and Wesley as the underdog will never not be good, I don't think. Nate.
Obafemi, as far as I'm concerned, can hold this belt as long as he wants, and if that's forever, that's fine. That's fine by me. Um, I- like so, yeah, he comes out, like you said, kind of just talks about how awesome he is, and you wondering. I forget if he was wondering who the next challenger is, or I forget exactly what he said that prompted Wesley to come out. But said something, and Wesley comes out. Like he Wesley is one of, if not the best, North American champions of all time, as far as I'm concerned. I feel like his reign really made that belt mean something. Carmelo's reign with it really made that belt mean something. And where they were kind of both back to back reigns, like that, I feel like it really elevated that title. So I really like the idea of Wesley wanting to come back for, as he said, his title. Um, at the same time, I'm like, I want to see Wesley get wins, and I don't want to see Obafemi lose. So uh, I'm a little torn. Like I want to see the match for sure, but like there's a big part of me that's like I want to see Wesley, get his belt back, and there's a big part of me that's like I don't want to see Obafemi lose. So maybe they do like the Lay Cool thing and they split the belt in half or something. I don't know. That's a terrible idea. Don't do that. Um, so it's gonna be interesting to see where this one goes, because my gut tells me that Wesley, when it comes to this match, if this is a match they're building to, I'm assuming it is, but I'm assuming that Wesley is still not going to win. He's still the underdog, and I think he's going to be fine for it. Um, as much as I don't necessarily want to see him lose, I think he's going to be fine for it. He'll still be able to kind of tell that underdog story. He'll be able to cut a very impassioned promo in the ring, as he has many times in the past since becoming a singles wrestler. And he's wowed us every single time, even down to the one that he cut 4 or 5 weeks ago after returning, however long ago that was. Very impassioned promo. It really makes you believe him. So I think if he loses that match, it's not necessarily going to hurt him, but I also don't necessarily think it's going to elevate Oba that much. The only way that I think it could is if on commentary they're talking about how he beat the greatest North American champion of all time. They've called Wesley that, so if they kind of use that moniker as a way to propel, um, Obafemi by beating the greatest North American champion of all time. That certainly works for me. Otherwise, I just feel like Oba's squashing a bug, with the size difference. So, um, interesting to see where how they book this and kind of how it plays out. But that's my gut as to where we're going with it.
Obafemi's final words in this scene were, "Do we have an accord?" And I think it was Bruce that pointed out only Obafemi could deliver the line, "Do we have an accord?" as a wrestler and not be made fun of. He made those words sound terrifying. He's
Oh,
just,
absolutely. It,
oh, he's.
I know, I know that you must have watched Lost, right?
I did. Yep.
I'm trying to think of the character's name, and I'm surprised I can't right now. Um, but there was Mr. Echo.
Yep.
I every time,
Adewale.
yeah,
Yeah.
every
Akinoue Agbaje. Yeah, he's one of
I
my
see
favorite
so
actors.
many
Yeah.
I see so many parallels between Mr. Echo and Obafemi in the best way possible. I'm curious to see if you see that too as a film guy.
Did you ever see Oz? He was on that as well, and he was terrifying.
Actually, I have
Um,
not seen that. Have not seen that.
that would actually make you feel much more the connection between the two because
Okay.
he was real scary on that. Azam White emails us. You can email us at pwtorchnxt@gmail.com. Number one, with TNA's involvement with NXT, you feel some NXT stars will feel a bit less confident in their environment. For example, after Joe Hendry was eliminated from the Battle Royal and the fans started chanting BS over it, Tony D looked like a deer lost in the headlights. Well, Tony D kind of often looks like a deer lost in the headlights. I didn't know.
I didn't notice, to be honest.
Yeah, I
I
didn't
didn't notice
notice,
him specifically. There's so many
but
people.
yeah, I'm a little hard on Tone, but whatever. I think that's a risk you take. I don't think for me that TNA is getting so much shine that these guys should be bothered by it. Like nobody's leapfrogging anybody right now. Uh, um, and even Jordan Grace, when she's getting her wins, they weren't against women that couldn't take a loss at this point. Number two, with Chase U still involved with Ridge Holland's Little Dog and Pony show, to me it seems like time for Thea Hale or Duke Hudson to change their character in a big way. I think the Duke Hudson character is going to be changing pretty soon. Let's just go ahead to that match. Andre Chase and Duke Hudson against the OC. Duke Hudson pins Carl Anderson when Ridge holds his leg. Whatever. Ridge helped from the outside. And Vic undercuts it by saying, "What a win." Vic, you're the
Yeah.
babyface announcer. Please call out the chicanery that happened here. This match, 505. So the OC not only not getting booked on the main roster, they are losing 5-minute matches to Chase U on NXT. Poor dudes. Oh well. Oh well. But yeah, Ridge Holland still causing trouble. Riley Osborne. So many names, Nate. Riley Osborne is
I know.
still in the UK, so they did not move forward that part of it because Osborne has been the most vocal anti Ridge Holland member. And now Duke has issues with him because Duke now is the one who wants to win the right way when he was kind of the greasy one for a while. So always something going on with Chase U. So
Yeah.
as far as that match, Nate and Azan's email about it.
Yeah. So, um, I'm just actually going back to Hassan's email here real quick. Okay, yeah. So I don't know with everything going on with Chase U and Ridge Holland right now. I'm just I don't know. I'm ready for it to be over. Um, Chase U at one point was one of my favorite things on the show. When they were like peak Chase U. Now, I mean, they're still entertaining, but there's just been ever since the whole bankruptcy angle thing. I just feel like they've been I don't know, it's been such a shell of itself, which is probably on purpose, trying to give us, either the illusion that they're going to break up or maybe building to that breakup. Um, But yeah, I'm so not invested in Chase U as I once was. Um, I agree with you. I think Duke Hudson's probably going to be showing some sort of a shift in character, though I've said that many times on the show as he's been part of Chase U. Because he's like you said, sometimes he's the one that's trying to cheat to win. Other times he seems like the most stand-up member of Chase U. So it's kind of hard to like pinpoint what's going on with Duke Hudson sometimes, but I think like I said, I think he's probably the next or the one that has some sort of a change. Um, Either that or like Riley Osborne and Ridge Holland, I mean, just eventually implode, and we see the rest of the members take sides, and it kind of implodes the rest of Chase U. At this point, I'm kind of hoping for a mercy kill. Um, like I, I I'm I'm worried about like Thea Hale and what would happen to her afterwards in a way, but I also think she's got enough charisma and yeah, she's still young enough where she'd be fine. Um, but yeah, it's not my favorite thing right now. I'm kind of surprised that the Good Brothers are being used in this way. Like I thought bringing them down to NXT, they might get a little bit more stank on them after being just so defined down on the main roster. I thought that was part of the reason they might bring them down here. Obviously, they're older, they're an older tag team. I'm not saying like, I mean, you know what I mean. They're a more established tag team. That's, I guess, what I should be saying. More established tag team. So sure, you want to put over younger stars, but it doesn't mean as much if the tag team seems like as defined down as they are. So I don't know. I really would like to see the Good Brothers maybe go on a 3-week winning streak. Hell, even if it's just local jobbers or something like that. Somebody, some people from the PC we haven't seen on TV yet, but try to build them up a bit and then put over some of the newer talent. But that's just my 2 cents.
Brock Benningfield hits us with, what is Andre without Chase U? Honestly, either a jobber or a manager. And as
Yeah.
a manager, I think he's a hybrid. This is a weird hybrid, but I think he's something between Bill Alfonso and Harvey Whippleman.
I can see that.
Because I can see aspects of both in him. And Andre's a pretty good wrestler, but what do you do with a wrestler who looks like he does? I don't know what you do with someone who looks like he does, other than the role that he's playing. Azan's mailbag concludes with number 3. Do you expect big things from Eddie Thorpe as far as championships? Now, I really want to say yes, very badly, because I've been following him for a long time, since he was wrestling under his real name, Carl Fredericks, in New Japan. Watched him go through the Young Lions system, and they were high on him. They do a Young Lions Cup every few years, and he won. They put him over, even as he was one of the younger Young Lions. And then they had kind of a push for him on New Japan Strong, which was a weekly TV show filmed in LA, mostly featuring the guys who, because of COVID, couldn't travel and were stuck here in the States. So I don't know. I like him quite a bit. I know what he's capable of, even that he has not shown in this company. But right now, and he was off TV for a while. Now he's back, and he got dropped like third in this 25-man battle royal. And then they had a little scene where he said, yeah, and I had a good showing tonight. And he did not.
Nope,
he
not getting
didn't
eliminated
have a
third.
good showing tonight. But they say that because they're like, fans won't remember. And they probably don't. But I have to write it down because of what I do. And he said that. So right now, I could see championships on him. But if the question is, do I think Shawn Michaels sees championships on him? The answer is no. I actually gave him a really small chance, more than a 0 chance, which I would have given most people, to win this battle royal. And And he was counting the lights pretty quick. So, and in the end, it was who I thought was going to win. So, anything on that or anything on Azan's email that you didn't already cover?
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. Like, I feel like Eddie Thorpe is. I mean, he has the ability, no problem, for championships, and I think that the character could certainly work. The Native American gimmick. I feel like you could really play into that, play into his heritage and things like that to kind of get people behind him. Um, but I kind of agree with you. I don't know if Sean and kind of the higher ups in NXT kind of feel the same way. It'll be interesting to see his trajectory, I guess, kind of as maybe in the next like 3 to 6 months, because like you said, he comes out, well, he doesn't come out, he's walking to his car and they chased him. But it's like, uh, you know, I had a good showing tonight. Like, you really didn't. You were in this 25-person match for a few minutes and you get eliminated third. I think it was third. I don't have the thing listed in front of me. I think you said it was third just now. Um, so I don't know. Maybe they showed that backstage or that parking lot segment so much later in the night because like maybe people forget he got eliminated third. I don't know. Um, so I feel like they might be doing something with him and maybe building him to maybe a match with Femi for the North American title or something like that in the somewhat near future. But as much as I would like to see him succeed and become champion and things like that, or a champion, I I think I don't think that's going to be in the cards for Eddie Thorpe anytime soon.
Uh, BJ asks us, is Joe Gacy coming back to NXT or is he one of the Wyatt Six? I am pretty confident that he is gas mask guy in
Yeah,
the
I think
Wyatt
so.
Six.
Yeah, same body build.
Yep. BB says, just curious if NXT entrance themes have always been awful or is this a recent occurrence? I just started watching NXT regularly a few weeks ago. It was just glaringly obvious tonight. And yeah, they've been bad for a while. Even bad would be something. They're not even that. They're just
Just
there.
generic.
They're
So
just
generic.
generic. So the kind of thing you can turn on in a retail store because you know it won't offend anybody because it doesn't even it's just white noise.
Yeah.
That's what it is. So great for a retail environment other than for the employees. But terrible for your pro wrestling show. So there was a time stuff was pretty good. And what was the name of the hype man who wrote Cameron Grimes music, the Stacking Money song?
Oh God,
It
I
was
can't
so
remember.
catchy and so much fun. Uh, Brock in the chat says, "Create a wrestler music."
It
Yes,
is.
absolutely.
I I saw an interesting take, and I don't know how true this is, but I saw an interesting take on why WWE themes in general might be kind of crappy recently. And so they've got Def Rebel, I think it's Def Rebel, something like that, that create the music. The guy who creates it, he's also the guy that's kind of like one of the guys in Def Rebel. He also has a whole bunch of other things that he does as well, but the I think WWE licenses like the song as a whole. Like he creates a song, he gets a one-time fee for it, whereas like usually you'd get royalties and things on songs. So the person was kind of like, if you're only getting paid a one-time fee for something, would you put your best quality into it? Um, and I'm like, that makes sense. Again, that's complete conspiracy theory on my end, but like, I, entrance music is so important in wrestling, and I mean, the glass shattering, the Undertaker's gong, like entrance music is so important, and now. Half the time music hits and I can't even tell who it is until they cut to the person. Um, I mean, God, I used to know every entrance music, just the first few notes in my head, and now, it's pretty terrible.
Thank you, BJ, for hitting me with the name Josiah Williams for Cameron Grimes' music. Yeah, he was real good, and he was a COVID cut or something around there, and They let him go, and I believe he now works for Disney. I saw him posting that he was going to Disney, but I have not kept up with him since. I just remember that post. So there you go. Yeah, he was talented. I don't know why that's a guy you lose in order to keep Def Rebel. Come on, their name is Def Rebel. You know they're going to be butt rock terrible. Okay, JB from Detroit hits us with this 3-pronged email. Hi, team. It's JB from Detroit. Number 1, is it a good idea to have a face-face matchup of Trick versus Evans for Heatwave on such a short build? I think that this is another systematic issue of having NXT having PLEs within a month of one another. JB answered his own question. It is not a good idea because of this reason. I would like to see more build for Javon Evans, but I will say this, if they must do this 4-way, then I guess they get away with it because they still are saving Trick versus Javon. And that I think is a good thing. So I don't, there are too many of these in NXT, and you have too few people that are ready for this spot. It's not like the main event or the main roster where you can heat somebody up like Finn Balor out of nowhere and get 2 great months in that main event picture. That is simply not what is happening here because you have people who've never been in this position before. This is a lot to ask. Now, Javon Evans is just like stupid talented for 20 years old.
Oh, God. I can't believe he's only 20.
That segment he had with Ethan Page where they were jawing at one another. We didn't really talk about that, but that was fire, man. That was really good with the two of them at each other's throats. So, yeah, I really bought it. I mean, they sold me that main event.
He's been wrestling. I don't think you were on the show when we looked this up, but he's been wrestling since 14.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Doing the Hardy Boys approach to wrestling.
Yeah.
Where the Hardys were lying about their age and getting like literal raw squash matches, with them on the losing side by basically saying, yeah, we're totally 18 as their voice crack.
Right. 16, something like that.
Yep. JB says, number 2, should Joe Hendry have gone further in the Battle Royal? I'm certainly not saying that he should have won, but I do think that there would have been a more sustained interest throughout the Battle Royal if Hendry was in contention. No, I believe they used him absolutely 100% correctly. They introduced him, which was great, and they had him tossed in a way that is going to make a lot of people want to see more of him. This actually whetted my appetite for him. I want to see more of him. I thought it was his mic time was fun, and that entrance was great. And he got himself into that situation because he just like dragged everybody in his mic time. So of course they all went after him. So the situation was motivated. Even though everybody wanted to see more of him, I think that's why it worked, because it made us want to see more of him. Number 3, what would be a next best idea to utilize the new NXT TNA partnership in the immediate future? As always, love the show and go VIP. This is where I say I'm not following TNA enough to know where to go next. Nate, on any part of JB's email.
Yeah, I'll say that. Like, I don't follow TNA enough, so even though like I still actually haven't really even watched a lot of what happened last week. I've kind of kept up with it, but I don't know enough about what's going on in TNA to really intelligently speak to that. So, um, I I don't know what the best way of doing it is, but I think what they're doing now is effective from a business standpoint, right? Like you're giving TNA a little bit of publicity. TNA is giving NXT a little bit of publicity. If I don't know how I don't know how like worth it that necessarily is, but I can understand it from a business perspective, that little working relationship. Um, I would like to see a little bit more crossover with some bigger names, which I think we may still see. It was really cool seeing Frankie Kazarian, like I said earlier tonight, seeing him in the ring. Definitely not expected. And I think news kind of broke of that shortly before NXT going on the air, if memory serves. But wasn't expecting that when I woke up this morning. So there we go. Um, Let's see what else. Should Joe Hendry have gone further in the battle royal? I think he was booked as good as he could have been. Like I said earlier in the show, he came out, he had an entrance where most people didn't. It was only, I think, Javon Evans that also had an entrance. So utilize, this is something that Dusty always told Cody, as far as Cody's told us, maximize your minutes. And that's what he did. He got an entrance, he got mic time, and then he got eliminated first. The first entire, I don't know, I'm going to call it 3 minutes of that match was revolving around Joe Hendry, probably even a little bit less than that, but still, walking away from this match, I don't think a lot of people are going to be thinking about, Javon Evans necessarily winning. I think they're probably going to remember this for the match that Frankie Kazarian was in. And even that, I don't think is going to be the big sticking point. The big sticking point is going to be Joe Hendry coming out and getting immediately eliminated. Um, but as you said, he's somebody that now I would like to see on TV a little bit more, on NXT TV a little bit more. So I'm kind of hoping he has a bit more crossover. Maybe he shows up next week, upset that he got eliminated. Or maybe we even see a Frankie Kazarian, because Frankie was the one that eliminated him, right?
Everybody was on him, but
I think it
yes,
was
I think
Frankie.
it was
I think it was
Frankie.
Frankie that got the final blow over the top.
And as I said,
Um,
they got a feud going, starting on NXT, that air on
in
TNA,
TNA.
and that's secondhand. If I'm lying, then I was lied to, folks.
But yeah, so like maybe we even see them have a singles match in NXT, like continue that feud on WWE programming. That would be pretty cool. Um, I think really the sky's the limit for this partnership. Triple H seems to be really open to partnerships with other companies. I think WWE still has to look like they're the top promotion with those partnerships. Um, and I don't necessarily think that. I think Triple H thinks that, and the company does. But yeah, I could see some really cool stuff coming from it. Um, is it a good idea to have a face-to-face matchup and for Trick and Evans and Heatwave, such a short build? I think it can work because I think they're both so charismatic that and there's a respect already established between the two that I think it could work. I don't think it'd be the greatest story that they could tell, but I think it could work. Um,
I
but I
also see
think
a very strong heel inside of Javon Evans if they decide to do that.
I actually very much agree with you. That wasn't what I was going to say, but I very very much agree with you on that. Um, but yeah, I think that might be one of the reasons to include Ethan Page in that match in a triple threat. I think as much as I am more of a proponent of seeing a singles match than a triple threat match, um, I think it would be a better story with Trick and Javon Evans kind of ganging up on the heelish Ethan Page, and or Ethan Page trying to turn Trick and Javon against each other, something like that. I think it would be a better story overall. So there we go.
Kevin Catani emails us the following. Salutations, gents. I hope this email finds you well. There certainly was a lot going on in tonight's episode, and I must say, with few exceptions, I really appreciate the overall direction of the storytelling and the week-to-week breadcrumbs that keep us engaged in feuds, skirmishes, and group developments. Nate and I recently talked about the Good Brothers and their presences in NXT. I think we were both under the impression that they would be doing some more winning, but they seem to be on a bit of a schneid. Was I wrong in thinking they be built up? Is their name value enough to put NXT teams over? What am I missing? I think if they showed up with any name value, they've probably just about squandered it at this point. He continues, lastly, with regard to the women's locker room and today's backstage segment regarding the NA title, who is one woman each of you thinks deserves more TV time and you'd like to see more of on TV? Thanks as always. Go VIP and listen to 8YB. Office hours are now over. The Professor, Kevin P. Catani, PhD.
HD.
That would be uh Ren Sinclair. She's not too good on the mic, but she sure is good in the ring. So I guess that's my pick for those who are not getting a lot of TV time. And she's only going to get more. hopefully they're working on her on the mic, because I think that she can be a really valuable undersized underdog babyface if they decide to hang on to her and get that from her. Nate, go ahead on Katani's email.
Did Mako like go into a backstage role?
I think she just about had to have. This seems like something I should know because I sure do like Mako Satomura,
Yeah,
but
and I feel like
I don't
this is
know.
also something I should know too. And I was trying to look it up quickly before you threw it to me because scrolling up and down the NXT roster, I Mako Satomura catches my eye. The final boss of the women's division, and when was the last time we saw Mako Satomura? Um, I think it'd be cool to like actually see her come out and put a couple people over. Maybe not like in consecutive weeks or even consecutive months, but you treat her almost like you treated the Undertaker. He's a special attraction, something like that. um but I think if she's still active, then that'd be cool. um Otherwise, looking up and down the cards still, yeah, I'm not. Stevie Turner, I mean, she's starting to get a little bit more my 'cause, she's back from injury and she's starting to get a little bit of TV time. I don't think we even saw her tonight, but I really liked the streamer gimmick. I think it again probably had a ceiling and probably needed some evolutions before it kind of finally settled into what it potentially could have been. Um, but I really I enjoyed that streamer gimmick. I thought it was a little bit different and unique. They haven't really gone back to it. I feel like they kind of stripped it away. However, her entrance graphics still have all the streaming stuff, so I'm not sure. Um, so I would kind of like to see a little bit more for Stevie Turner. Whether or not she's in that streamer gimmick or not. I kind of like what she has to offer. Um, and I think that's really about it. You threw to me in a big picture at the wrong time for those of you watching on YouTube.
Sorry about that. I thought I was going to go into a bigger coughing fit than I did, and I was like, even if I'm silenced, I should not be here. Always thinking about our fans. Axiom and Nathan Fraser, they can't get along, Nate. Axiom, what's interesting here is either one of them could go heel here, because you've got Nathan Fraser wanting more and Axiom resenting that he wants more. And when Fraser was in the Battle Royal and Axiom wasn't, I knew why. I knew that we were going to get a scene like this. I thought it might be next week, but I knew that this was the scene we were going to get. And one of them just casually said that next week we've got tag team turmoil to determine our next opponents. So very excited about that. I actually really like tag team turmoil. You can really push a team in a single night, even if they don't win, and you always get TV feuds out of it. So I don't know how many teams they have that can actually make this interesting. This
Yeah,
might be
right.
like a 3 or 4 team tag team turmoil, but at any rate, interested in seeing that. Luca Crucifino shows up, kind of fans the flames of this. He's messing with them maybe a little bit, given the Heritage Cup match to Nathan Fraser, who signs it immediately, and Luca just politely notes that he's got a really good autograph. And as a guy who manages a sports card shop, I appreciate a good autograph. So big fan of that, Nathan. I like you even more than I used to. Hank
Hey,
Walker and Tank
thanks.
Ledger, they got their last names back, Nate. Hank Walker and Tank Ledger. That is
You
what
know,
they were called
I didn't
on the
even that
screen.
didn't even occur to me. Yeah, they did.
Mm-hmm. They said that on the screen. Nobody said it aloud, but they said it on the screen. New Quarter Catch Club are trying to add Tavian Heights. They asked him if he knew why he was there, and he said no. So apparently he doesn't actually watch the show because they talked about adding him last week. And speaking of partnerships work, because you've always got somebody who can take a loss, Tatum Paxley loses to Jordan Grace. So Anything more on the cleanup, Nate? Otherwise, I believe we are at the end of this. So any other thoughts on those segments or something that you wanted to say?
So now that you threw it to me, I don't. Oh, Axiom and Nathan Frazier. That was really the only thing that I wanted to touch on. Um, yeah, as we've been saying for a while now, I don't really like them as tag team champions. I liked them as a tag team before they won the titles, and I liked them as friendly rivals before they even became a tag team. But for some reason, them as tag team champions, I just don't feel like it's clicked. And I think it's obviously it's kind of being booked that way. That they're being booked to kind of disagree and get in arguments and kind of be at odds with one another, potentially building to them losing the titles, potentially splitting up. But I'm hoping they get there sooner rather than later because it hasn't made entertaining television for me. With two characters that I enjoy. I mean, they're not my favorite thing on NXT, but I really feel like both Nathan Frazier and Axiom are really good supporting characters. On the show. Uh, so I don't know. I'd like to see them. I'd really like to see them lose the titles. I was hoping they'd lose them to the Good Brothers at Battleground. But see them lose the titles and kind of maybe go their separate ways for a little bit, and then maybe 6 months down the line, or a year or two down the line when they're on the main roster, maybe they meet back up and kind of like DIY did when they hit the main roster again. And then you kind of tell the story of what happened in NXT. But for now, I I feel like what they're doing is starting to become a little stale, and it would be really nice to see this what should be a fun tag team turmoil match, depending on who's in it and how many teams are in it. But I'd like to see them lose the belts after that, and kind of, like I said, go their separate ways. But other than that, I think I think we can end the show.
I think so too. Directly after this show, you can watch that Fast and the Furious movie where Zachary Ty Bryan is on it, because it's always on, folks. It is Silk Stockings. It is Law and Order. It is always on after wrestling. I'm Kelly Wells. You can find me on social media at Spooky Milk. Nate.
Nate Lindberg. You can check things out that I do at natelindberg.com. And, if you want, follow me on X at Nate Lindberg. I don't use it often, but sometimes I post funny memes about Ron Killings.
There you go. Good chat with you guys as well, Sean. And we will see you all in 7.
Peace.